This is Jools and Jim's Joyride. Let's change gear, move up a pace and get into the fast lane. On this podcast, a great legend, a great friend, a great drummer, a great comedian, a great writer, a great all-round fellow.
Thanks, but who's the guest?
It is, of course, Rowland Rivron.
Hello, thank you. I'm flattered by that introduction.
How did you get here today? In a car?
In a car, yeah, my wife's.
Can you remember what was your first car that you ever had?
First car that I drove after passing my test. Took my test 5 times. One of the tests I actually got lost. It was in Denham, out in the suburbs there, and we went down a country lane, and he said turn left, and I sort of bared right down this thing, and he's like, and then the bloke said, well, I don't know where we are now. We was completely lost.
Also, it's not a good sign if I was the examiner and I said turn left and you turned right. That's already not really understanding the law of the road.
In the country, there's a road, and it sort of bears round, but then there's still a road that goes on. And he said sort of turn right or something like that. And I thought, it's not a right turn. It's like we're still on the same road or something.
And you ended up
that.
in Denham.
Yeah.
Denham, of course, that's where all the
Cilla Black. Yeah, in fact, on Sundays, me and my brother, our eldest brother, Richard, he had one of those old-fashioned Minis. You know, the Mini Cooper S, the ones that were like the Italian job.
Yes.
He had one of those. And on Sundays, we used to go and drive around Denham trying to spot Cilla Black.
And I mean,
so the first car you were saying?
Yes, first car for you. Yes,
a Hillman Imp.
Oh, nice name for a car, Hillman Imp.
Yeah, but it described it so perfectly.
Yes,
it was so small.
Well, when I first met you, you were sleeping in a Jaguar. I think.
Yeah,
but you couldn't sleep in an Imp.
No, but I worked out a way in this Hillman Imp because it had the glass back thing that opened up,
glass rear window.
Yeah,
very nice.
Moved up, and I could just about get the whole of my drum kit into this Hillman Imp. And I used to have a gig at it was a pub in Shepherd's Bush that I used to play every week. And I was about 16, 17.
I mean, when you were on tour with us, so we had a Jaguar XJ12 saloon, silver with champagne interior, contrasting.
Pepper pot wheels.
That's right, with the V12 engine.
That's it. I bought one exactly the same colour.
Yes.
If you remember.
No, you had the same car. I thought you had a green one, didn't you?
Yeah, light green.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did my brother sell it to you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
No, I sold it to him.
Oh, did you?
And then he sold it to Chris Evans, and he gave it away on his TV show.
That's right. Somebody will have that car somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I think it might be worth telling Jim here about your how you entered the Musicians' Union.
I had to join the MU, and so I went and saw the MU bloke, the governor, and it went in office completely piled with paper. It was like a caricature. It was like from a sketch show where you go into an office where a bloke's, a pen pusher. And he said, right, come on, son, let's fill this form out. I said, what's your name? And I said, Rowland Rivron. He said, all right, okay, what do you do? Drums, all right, drums, yeah. What's your professional name? I said, no, I'm a jazz drummer. You don't have professional names. He said, well, I've got to fill this out. I'll put Rolando. In the MU directory.
Is that what you still are? Rolando. The amazing Rolando.
Yes, exactly. To this day.
One of the best gigs I ever saw. So this is drums and transport combined.
Nice.
I went to see Prince at Wembley, and there was a train track that went all the way around. Sheila E. was the drummer, and she was on a platform which was on the train track. And it would go around the train track as she drummed.
God.
As she came round past me,
right,
I shouted, "Go on, Sheila!" And I think she looked at me and winked.
That's good. Well, so was Prince in the round? Was he actually in the centre?
Yeah, he was in the centre. And what was incredible, he came on in, I think it was like a floating Cadillac, singing and playing his guitar as he was in the Cadillac, and then got out the door and then went and performed.
Yeah.
But he then he climbed up a pole which was about 300 foot high to the top, sang a line from the song, slid down another pole, and then back to the microphone, bang on time.
We'll do that.
Yeah. Spot on. But it was Sheila E. Playing drums on a train.
But I mean, I think on a smaller scale, I mean, some people, for instance, have they'll have, if they've got a big dining table, they might have a railway track on the dining room table, taking around the salt, pepper, mustard, and things like this. Or cigar at the end of the film, whatever. Yeah. But on a smaller scale again, Rowland, you like myself have got. In fact, I've got your old stuff of the Minic motorway. The motorways in the cars were the new thing. So in the 1960s, we'll sell models of cars and motorways because they're the romantic...
Black track with white markings down the middle.
Yes.
The first time. Before then, it was only ever racetrack.
Yes.
And it suddenly...
Because the Minic motor is a motorway. It was a proper...
Yeah, it's a motorway.
Yeah, it's a motorway.
Motorway services, which are glamorous places to be.
Yeah.
Because I had the Matchbox motorised motorway, which was... probably the lowest end because it was a spring that was in some tracks.
Yes.
And if the spring got kinked, it was all over. And mine got kinked on Christmas morning.
Oh, really? How sad.
We got our Minic motorway. Admittedly, it was second-hand from the thrift shop on the RAF camp where we lived. My mum and dad set it up behind the sofa on Christmas Eve. So when we came down, 3 boys, it's like, he's been. And they just pulled the sofa out and there was about... 8 foot of Minic motorway.
My cousin had one, and he had a train track, and we used to recreate terrible incidents with trains and cars at the crossroads. I
think it's a sign of getting older that once you have these things when you're older, you just sort of reenact the mundane, and that's quite exciting. Anyway, what about that was your first car, and also you need a car as a drummer. You needed something that was going to fit.
A kit
in the back of it. Yeah.
Well, as I say, the Imp was perfect, for the job. But I moved up to a Ford Escort estate, blue, and I remember when I was badgering my mum and dad saying, "Look, we've got to get a bigger car," because the Hillman Imp was my mum's car, really. So I said, Mum, you've got to get a bigger car because I'm going up to bloody London every day and I've got a drum kit and it's, And she said, reluctantly, really reluctantly, she said, all right, come on, let's go and have a look at the car. And I saw in the paper, local paper, the bloke was selling this blue Escort estate. And I thought, that's just the right size. So all 3 of us get into my dad's Triumph Toledo. And we go to this guy who's got 4 cars in the front of his garden. It was really sort of pants. And sure enough, there was this car, and we thought, oh, this is great. And my mum was really sort of, well, if you must, go on then, I'm not happy with this. Me and my dad got in the car. Dad's driving, I'm sitting, we get 100 yards down the road, the car stops, and she can just see our shoulders going up and down like that. And then she sees my dad pull the handles, the gear stick up in the air. You can just see the silhouette of the gear stick through the back window. It actually physically just came out the car. And
was it too far? Had you come too far to be able to go back and hand it back to the man with the other cars in the garden?
I don't know whether it was just that's how we were back then, but despite that, I said, let's have it.
When I was 12, I was in town shopping with my mum and dad, and driving past me in a Daimler was Jimi Hendrix.
Really?
Well, yes.
That's
and I
good.
chased down after him and knocked on the window, and he waved back, smiled and waved back at me.
Oh,
Jimi Hendrix. So
you'd made contact. That's
and
good.
I told my dad, and my dad said, "Do you know what? The same thing happened to me when I was 12. I was riding along on my bike and I saw George Formby and stopped at the traffic lights, knocked on the window, and he smiled and waved at me and drove off." So I thought, isn't that weird? We're both 12 and the same thing happened.
With George Formby.
You need to quiz your kids. You need to quiz your kids and say, right, so come, who was it when you were 12?
When you're 12, who did you see?
Yeah, I saw Princess Anne.
I expect in her car she'd have quite a high ceiling to contain the hair.
Yeah.
We did a program called The Groovy Fellas where we had a Rolls Royce where we cut the roof down.
Yeah, we bought. It was Tyne Tees bought an ex-wedding car. I seem to remember it being.
I think it was. It wasn't such a bad car, but it was by the time we finished with it.
Yeah, it was on its last legs, Yeah. So the
brakes never really worked.
No, and it just spewed out oil.
Yes.
So wherever we stopped, we couldn't stop for very long because we made ourselves. I remember Jeffrey Archer. We pulled up outside his place opposite the Houses of Parliament where he lives in this massive tower block. And we pulled up and he came out and he said, "Right, shift that!" So as he walked out, he could see just almost constant oil dripping onto this beautiful, pristine forecourt. But yeah, so we took the roof off, had that
What,
lowered.
you mean sawed it off?
Yeah,
yes,
we had the roof sawed off, lowered by about 6 inches, 9 inches.
Yeah.
So suddenly that made it look sort of a bit sort of dangerous. And then we had old Land Rover wheels put on.
I think so. And we had the bumpers had just sort of steel bars put on where the
Yeah.
bumpers were. So it looked like a sort of a banger race that had come hot rod.
Yeah,
It was a great
nice.
success, wasn't it?
It was. It turned heads, and
Yes.
we got a lot of police attention.
Yes.
I remember the police were stopping us a lot because I think there were some things that they'd done to it in order to make it look like that, which rendered it completely
So
illegal.
he was trying to look like a cool sort of lowered Mexican thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did it
Yeah.
jump up and down?
No.
No, it sort of rocked.
Unless you got to the back end of it and started pumping it with your hands.
Yeah, but it did spew oil all over the place. I think
Yeah.
that was one of the
And
highlights.
who sawed the top off?
Well, there were two fellas, I think, in a railway arch in
Yes.
up in Newcastle, or no, Carlisle, wasn't it?
And then we hand sprayed it gold
Yes.
with cans, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was another very dangerous
I
thing.
wonder where
in
it is now.
Quite a confined space with all this aerosol going off.
Well, I was told that it was in it was Border Television who made it, and I'm told
Yeah.
it was in there. Somebody told me they've got it in a warehouse still somewhere. Very collectible.
Oh, well, for one of the, like television, like famous people's cars.
Well, it was, my dream was that we do this program. It was me. Roland was a marshal, and I was showing him around, and we had this car. But my dream was that somebody was going to make a sort of toy of it, and a toy of both of us. You know, like
Yeah.
you got Man from Uncle or James Bond in his car. It would be us with this Rolls Royce with a flattened roof. But that was just a dream.
And it
But
never
going back
happened.
to the early days, also I think talking of roads, I believe you also had an incident with some road workers when you were very small.
Very small, yes. I was probably only about 4, and they were digging up the road and
Outside your house.
outside the house. And back then, when you were 4, you were allowed to just go out and play and wander and everything. We were on an RAF camp, so we were sort of encased with a fence. But I was with these guys. They were navvy, sort of Irish guys. My mum tells me, and the bloke had a sandwich, and I said, "Oh, that looks like a nice sandwich." And he said, "Yeah, do you want a little bit of it?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you'll have to give me something." So I went into the house and just took this thing off the sideboard, which was my dad's really expensive watch. And I gave him the watch, and he gave me a little tiny bit of this sandwich.
And what happened then?
I can't remember.
He was never seen again.
No, it was just like they'd moved on. The sandwich was eaten. There was no evidence, no proof that any transaction
Those
had taken
navigators.
place.
My granddad did this after the First World War. My granddad got paid his money that they'd give you after for dying in the war and stuff like that. So he bought a motorcycle and rode it, and it went straight into a workman's pit. And he said, "You can have that. I'm done with motorbikes and the rest of it." And that was it. He just gave him it. So working in a pit, in a workman's pit in the middle of the road, can be lucrative.
I'm very fond of a canal barge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a narrowboat.
I like those.
Yeah.
What sort of journeys do you? Who goes on the journey with the whole
A
family?
friend of mine's got one in the Hoxton Basin,
Oh, yes.
just in Shoreditch. He lives on it. Actually,
Is he very short?
He is. His name's John Kelly. He's a little tiny guy.
Yeah, I think because you have to be, don't you?
Yeah, you've got to be quite slim, and the bed is about 2.5 foot, long.
It's not a big man's game then.
It's
or
not.
No.
No, definitely not. And not with too many people. But he had this boat, and he used to have to take it down to Uxbridge to get it out of water, for stuff to be done, and just meandering really slowly through King's Cross, then Camden, Maida Vale, just seeing it all from the other side. It was just lovely.
And I think it is the pace that you go at the canal boat is very lovely. I went on one from Birmingham to do the Avon Ring. It broke down underneath Spaghetti Junction. It's quite it's quite a highlight actually. I quite enjoyed enjoying motorway networks as I do.
Yes,
it was quite a good chance to get.
So you could just lie back and have a look.
Really lay back and look at it,
Yeah.
examine it properly from underneath.
Really
I hadn't had an
take it in.
opportunity to do before.
Yeah.
So that was nice. When I first went on a barge ever, a narrowboat. And I'd never been on one before, and the man said, well, he identified me as a sort of senior fellow who was going to be doing the captaincy.
Yeah.
He said it's perfectly simple. You steer it here, and this is the thing that makes it go forward and backwards. And he was like a 1950s reasonable bloke, is the only way I can describe him. He had like tweeds on, and sort of grey hair with a big comb over, and tall sort of bloke he was, and he had I think a little woolen hat on top of the comb over and a pipe.
Nice.
Which like a Sherlock Holmes type pipe. And so it was perfectly simple. You just do it a little bit here, a bit fast, and then for the locks, this is what you do. And he started saying it, and he took a step back as we were sort of pulling away at about sort of 5 knots, and just fell backwards into the water up to his neck. And we were all like, we've never even been on one of these before. What happens now? And so we waved at him, and he just sort of waved us all.
What as he sank down?
As he sank down with his pipe, like a sort of a 1960s
Not waving, but
film.
drowning.
No,
he was never seen again.
No, well, we carried on our journey and had a lovely holiday.
Wow. Do you know what, Roland? That's reminded me. I've got a photograph of you, and I was trying to find it to bring it along to give you, which is, do you remember when we went to Christian Dior's chateau?
Yeah.
And Bob and I turned up on our motorcycles.
Oh, yes.
And the first thing was you, fully dressed, stood by the swimming pool, and I got a photograph of you at 45 degrees as you're falling backwards into the pool.
Oh, nice.
Excellent. That was an amazing place.
And out of interest, so yeah, we were just talking about any other methods of transport you like. You know, we've spoken about cars and
the canals. I just say the canals
work.
I used to like flying before 9/11, before it was all, you know, everything was clamped down. But I was in an Indian airport waiting for my bags to come through, and so there's a few bags come through. Then this really quite rickety looking coffin just rolled out, and it had been tossed about and mucked about with a bit, and it was just like plywood, and I was thinking, oh my God, just any more disruption of this thing, and just an arm's going to fall out or something like that. It was so bizarre to think, we'll just bung him in the hold, that'll be fine.
I was on a flight, and it was coming out of Egypt to somewhere else more mysterious. And it was a very low quality flight, but I do remember that there was goats going up and down the
really
there was people they were bringing their goats from one place to another, but when they brought out the in-flight meal, it was a Kit Kat, but it wasn't a Kit Kat. It was a fake Kit Kat wrapped in a photocopy of a Kit Kat wrapper.
Oh, what attention to detail! It really is good. Yeah. Mark Arman told me he once was in a flight in Russia where they loaded up all of the it was like it had people with the chickens and everything on the plane, and they was all sort of going mad. And he got offered a Mars bar in the same situation.
What, maybe that was it. Maybe it wasn't just there.
And then was offered favours from the air stewardess.
No.
Yes. She hadn't spotted that he was one of the biggest gay icons in the world at the time, but there we are.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
An aircraft, civil aircraft with passengers in, crashes right on the border of Scotland and England. Where do you bury the survivors?
You don't. You just eat them, don't you?
Do you have any idea?
No.
Would it be in Scotland or in England?
England.
You don't bury survivors, they're alive!
Oh, yes. Hook, line and sinker.
Yeah. Now, I'm afraid, Mr. Rivron, you've failed the test. We can't employ you at BOAC.
I got the colours in the right order.
And now a message from our sponsors.
Hey, Jools. What, might I ask, is your chief diversion?
Well, I suppose it has to be cookery.
How do you boil your hens?
It's easy. In King Kong's good stock, made from literally hundreds of cattles. I believe you go to France sometimes, don't you?
I do.
On a caravan holiday.
On a regular basis.
Well, we'll discuss that. I should just share with you, there's a friend of mine, I shan't name him for the purposes of this, but he went with his family driving down to France for their holiday every year with 2 small children.
Yeah.
And anybody will know with 2 small children, it can get a bit tiring for the child. They need to have a stop and have a run around, and they were getting more and more fractious in the car. Can we stop? Please, can we stop? We've been driving for 6 hours now, and they would have a far day down. So, right, we'll stop here. And we said, me and Mum will get a cup of coffee, and you can play. It's got a little children's play area there. You can play there for a bit, and we'll just get a cup of tea. And there was like a little sand pit where they could all play around. He said, no, we came up, we got a cup of coffee, and the 2 children were playing in the sand pit, and all these people looking at them a bit strange and looking at their parents. And it was, in fact, the place where you're supposed to stop and let your dog have a shit.
Lovely.
Anyway, I don't know if you experienced that at all, but you do go, and caravanning is a part of your...
Yes, very much so. Yes, we've got a caravan down in Biarritz. in the south of France on the Atlantic coast.
How lovely.
Yeah.
When you say caravan, do you drive the caravan down there?
I used to tow the bastard down with 3 kids in the back, and it was just a nightmare. So now we leave it in storage down there. It's a big twin axle, 6-berth.
Giant caravan.
Yeah, and we've customised it, you know. We ripped the floor up, and Mom got this pink rubberised floor, and we got Liberty print things. And,
so it's like a luxury home.
yeah, and we've taken out all the flowery curtains and all that and just got wooden blinds, you know, because it was always going to be near the beach, you know. It was sort of creating a beach hut.
So I love it when people do it. People get caravans and turn them into something.
Fiddle about with them, yeah.
Like Peter Richardson, Peter,
Yeah.
have you seen his trailer thing?
No.
It's like a ship. It's all like wooden panelled with port holes and everything in the back. So it is like a ship, it's like an upside down ship.
How lovely! I know, I love it. I think a caravan is lovely. I used to have a nice showman's living wagon, and it was very nice. It was like being in a sort of.
I nearly bought it off you, and it was tall because he had a tall hat. You told me.
That's right. That one did. Yes.
Didn't Norman Lovett live in it?
He did for a while.
It's quite
much
difficult
more
to say.
Much more. Did Norman Lovett live in it? It does. This is quite hard to say. But it was. The great thing about the Showman's Living Wagon, it had a lovely, great big range in it, and it was like being in sort of Sherlock Holmes' sort of parlour or something.
Yeah.
A little panelled room and a little panelled bedroom with a very high bed.
Not so much a parlour, more like in his wardrobe.
Yes, his wardrobe, a little bit small and panelled and mirrored and sort of thing, very cosy, a little oil lamp. And of course, there's a difference between a caravanist and a caravanite.
A caravanite.
A caravanite and a caravanist. And the caravanist...
What about a caravaner?
Well, I'll get to that in a moment. But the caravanist
Yeah.
is somebody that does it for pleasure, much like yourself. Whereas a caravanite is somebody who has it as their lifestyle and they live in it.
Right.
So that's...
And a caravan is a procession of things, isn't it?
Camels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a caravanite is the one that comes down from the roof, and a caravanite
right.
is the one that comes up from the floor.
Caravanite. Precisely, you've got it. So, yes, I think we've clarified
So it's
that.
like you just think stalagmites and stalactites.
Yeah.
Tights come down or tights go up?
Ah, you see.
Mites go up.
Tights come down. I think it was because when you're a schoolboy, that's what you'd like the idea of happening.
You prefer the idea of tights coming down.
Yeah.
And was mites going up? I don't get that one.
No. I think once you cornered the fact that the tights were coming down,
That's-
it
you're
was
all
a
right
given
then,
that the
yeah.
other one would be the mite.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did we end up there?
I don't know, you took us there on this strange journey.
Caravanite.
This strange
So what am
roadmap.
I then, Jools? What?
You're a caravanist because you're doing it for pleasure.
Yeah.
It's not your chosen lifestyle to live in it, as
No.
it would be, or just a your
Yes.
lifestyle. To like if
Okay.
you're a showman or something like.
Can
this.
I just at this juncture point out that I think this chair could give way under my ungovernable mass.
Right.
Really quite soon.
Yeah.
Shall we replace it with another?
No, I
chair?
think it'll probably
I think
last for the duration
It
of
would
this.
it would be a podcast first to actually sort of record that moment.
Can you
when
hear the creaking?
your uninsurable girth
Not
crashes
you.
onto the floor.
Yeah.
My ungovernable mass.
Yeah.
My incredible bulk.
Your girth.
The king's girth. Somebody told me about that.
The king's girth.
Well, that's
That's
so
what I
it
call
starts
my
off-
belt.
That's his waist, and then 10 foot out from that, the girth around there is something like the king's immediate circle of friends and trusted advisors. Then out of that is the next sort of belt around is his outer ward and the court, and the next circle is his sort of orchards and flocks and things, and the next one out is his outer lands and fields and so
The
forth.
width of a thumb. Who was it? Was it Edward? One of the kings.
That was an inch or something, didn't it?
That's an inch,
Yeah.
and from his nose to the end
Yard.
of his thumb is a yard.
Yeah.
So his girth, his belt. I don't know. Henry VIII's belt would be a mile.
Yeah.
That's it. You got it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, quite a nice thing to maybe resurrect in these trying times. Sort of boundaries
Yes.
around people.
Nice to have boundaries. I think is a very important thing actually. Yeah. Going back to your caravan, because I do like the sound of this. So at first you would drive it down, tow it.
We'd tow it. I'd pick it up in Cambridge, and we'd tow it down to either Plymouth or Portsmouth.
That's quite a long way to go.
Plymouth was a long haul, and then we'd get it onto a ferry, 24-hour ferry, and that would take us to Santander or Bilbao in northern Spain, and then we'd just drive about 150 miles round the top of northern Spain into the bottom left-hand corner of France, and 20 miles inland up the coast, Biarritz. Gorgeous place.
Is this with towing a caravan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder you only did it once.
No, I used to do it. We've been going there for 18 years.
Did you leave any special licenses to tow a caravan?
No, you go and take a little test for an afternoon where you just reverse this very small caravan over a load of bollards. And then the bloke says, right, yeah, you're okay.
You didn't get lost with him like you did with your examiner?
No. Although, coming back one year from Biarritz with this massive, great big twin berth, it was the biggest caravan you could buy at the time, took a wrong turn in and went into the town of Bilbao. And they've got the Guggenheim Museum there, haven't they?
Yeah.
The only place I could actually turn round, because Bilbao's just a crisscross match of roads like that, and it's really difficult. The only place I could turn round with the caravan was in the car park of the Guggenheim Museum. So
you're making literally an exhibition of yourself.
Yes, I mean all these people were sort of looking, thinking, what idiot comes to park in the Guggenheim Museum with a caravan? You fool. And I was just waving, smiling, and just doing it because it's quite a big car park, so I could do a really gentle,
big swerve.
Yeah, and come back out the other side. But that was a bit touch and go.
So this must have taken you about a week to get there.
No, it took.
By which time you say it's time to go back, turn round, we're off home.
What the beauty of it was, because you're on a campsite, it was about 12 quid a day, so we could go for a month. So we'd get down there, and the kids would just have the whole of the summer holiday basically down there.
Lovely.
So it was gorgeous.
Yeah,
lovely.
That's nice.
Yeah,
very nice. And you've got the freedom. If you think, well, actually, I'm getting a bit bothered about when I said Bilbao, what I meant was Paris.
Yeah,
you just get in the caravan, drive to Paris, pitch up and stay there for a few days.
You could. We didn't, but you could.
No,
we're very much pitch up, set it all up like we live there. So we start off as a caravanist, and we become
a caravanite.
Yeah.
When I first met you, Jools introduced you to me. The very first time I met you, you were introduced as the Gypsy Prince.
Yes.
To me.
Yeah, Rolando the Gypsy Prince.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there we are. So we full circle back to MU. Rolando the Gypsy Prince.
Yeah.
Performing tonight.
Yes.
But that was primarily because I was setting bangers off on my head at the end of drum solos.
Yeah. People loved it. It went done ever so well.
Yeah.
No, it was marvellous. He was, I think, I have to say, and I say this with sincere admiration, I think Rowland was one of the most dangerous people in show business has ever known. He was endlessly
the inventor of the centre parting. And how did it happen? Bangers.
Yeah. Juggling rockets.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, juggled rockets.
You used to put 5 rockets between your fingers, get them all lit, wait until they were ready to go, let go, and they'd all go up, and I'll say, I will now juggle these rockets. And just wait.
It was very good. They did it on live television.
Have you ever done fire eating?
No.
I did that once.
That sounds dangerous, though.
Oh, yeah, it is dangerous. Yeah. Don't breathe in.
No.
Yeah, I did it in someone's backyard once. Never again. Anyway.
Yeah. What is the ideal refreshments or dinner to have on a long journey or in your caravan?
Oh. Well, the ideal refreshment can pretty much be anything. I mean, Mon's partial to a bit of Prosecco. In fact, a bottle of an evening.
Whilst you're travelling?
Yeah.
In the back seat. Whilst travelling through France, you might be able to back this up. Yeah. I was driving down on a skiing trip somewhere and stopped off at a roadside cafe and got a sausage which was fluorescent orange.
Oh,
the brightest sausage.
Yeah.
I suspect it was a kind of Savoy, but it was absolutely fluorescent orange.
Are you sure that it was not part of the sort of emergency services?
What, an chair leg?
Yes.
No, it was a sausage. I've never seen a sausage that colour.
I've just remembered. This dovetails perfectly. I, in my early youth, when I was jazz drumming, went and did a residency in Paris with Nick Weldon on piano, Faye Weldon's son, a very good pianist, jazz pianist, and Erica Howard. It was the three of us. It was in the blue Ford Escort estate. So I was driving. Nick was in the passenger seat because he spoke fluent French. My drum kit and his fender roads were all somehow inside the estate car, and like you see in films, a massive, great big double bass on the roof.
Nice.
Nice. Cabled on like that. And we drove all the way to Paris. We played for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks there at this residency. On the way back, we had to get to the boat, Calais, at about 6 in the morning. So that meant we finished the gig at 1, and just but we used to wear tail suits and all that, very smart. Just put all the stuff in the car, and I just drove from Paris to Calais in one go with a bottle of Cointreau stuck between my legs that I just drank constantly while we drove from Paris, just to keep me awake and to keep me going. Yeah.
What happened to the double? I thought something was going to happen to the double bass.
No, that was fine. But I drank a whole bottle of Cointreau in the journey.
I think I'm admitting to great criminal acts.
But it's all right because we were in France.
Yeah, and I was on the wrong side of the road anyway.
Well, on that bombshell.
Yeah.
Out of interest, just a final thought. What would be your dream vehicle? I mean, if it was a caravan or a boat or any, what would be your dream vehicle?
Do you know? I'd go back to the Pepper Pot V12 Jaguar. That was. I don't think I've ever sat in anything more comfortable and anything so rewarding. A lot of wood, a lot of leather, a lot of width.
Yes.
And not very many miles to the gallon.
Yes, exactly. And would it be your one or my one that you were sitting in the back of?
It would have been the one I'd stolen from you, yes.
Yes, okay, just checking. Thank you very much for letting us know. It's been marvellous having as our guest here this evening, the wonderful Rowland Rivron.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you so much. Where's my fee?
Well, what a lovely treat to have Rowland Rivron here.
Yes, it's always a treat to have Roland.
It is always. I mean, he's a great drummer, a great motorist, as it's turned out.
A caravanist.
A caravanist and a caravanite.
And a caravaner.
A caravaneurist.
Yes.
Carnivore, the lot. And, of course, you can then subscribe to these podcasts.
Is that right?
Yes, which would mean that essentially you'd have them in your bathroom and the other...
Or in your caravan.
Yeah. They could be piped in permanently, but not into your main areas of the house, just the ancillary areas like bathrooms, kitchens.
Yeah. An annex.
An annex, but not your through lounge.
Yeah, quite right.